We shall call the meeting to order at 7:26, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's
Mrs. Castle?
That's right.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Here.
Mr. Lanacey?
Hello.
Mrs. Mack? Yes. Mr. Strang?
Okay. 1.2, review of the agenda. Any additions to the agenda? Do you have anything you'd like to talk about?
No new additions to the agenda.
Okay.
Basically, our predominant focus is budget for this evening.
Okay. 1.3, approval of minutes from the previous meeting, excuse me. It was March 16th, 2017. I need a motion.
I'll motion. I'll second.
Any questions, concerns? No? All those in favor? Aye. All those against? Okay. 1.4, acceptance of the financial reports. We have two, the monthly treasurer's report with budget transfers and the extra classroom quarterly report as of March 21st, 2017. Need a motion?
I'll move.
Second?
Second?
I heard.
Yeah, well, either way. Sure, yeah.
Any questions? Discussion?
Questions? No.
No? No? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those against? 1.5, building use. Looks like we have one group that's requesting to use our field. Have a motion?
I'll motion.
Second?
Second.
And I think we have some discussion on this one.
Yeah, I just wanted to question, I understand that they have a letter saying they're a nonprofit organization. But as a travel league, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's how they charge substantially more than what Twin Town or Classy Lassies does. What have we done in the past? I know we have an arrangement with Classy Lassies and Twin Town, which is perfect. But what have we done in the past? I know we've had some other softball leagues and some of the travel leagues. Do we let them go under nonprofit, or have we charged them under number 2?
Great question. In terms of the recent past, we've stayed kind of the group?
The group 2 is most,
The
like
group
St.
two.
Jude, the groups that come in from Averill Park School District are all under that $10 an hour, which they say is reasonable compared to other places that they go to rent. I mean, the Y is, different places that they would rent out for the day. And a lot of the groups, I know the ones that rent on the weekends, all the parents, they divide the fee out among the kids that were practicing, and that's how they fund it.
Okay, one of the questions I asked Sharon to inquire about was if she could find out if the majority of the students play with our district. And the answer she got was, one is at Gardner Dickinson, one is at Averill Park, 2 are in Troy, one is East Greenbush, one is Ichabod Crane, one is Mechanicsville, one is Shenandoah Hollow, one is Shalmont, and one is Ponasant, one is Colony, and one is from Valley Falls.
I mean, the travel leagues pull from all over. They recruit the best.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with them using our facilities, but I think it needs to be at group 2.
Yeah.
In my little added 2 cents, I wouldn't charge anybody, but I understand why we do. It's the ball field, and it's not inside, so they're not using, electricity. We don't, it's not maintenance. No one has to go, clean up after them. So why is it the same price as the gym, the cafeteria, a classroom? I don't know. If it's outside, I'm thinking it should be a little cheaper, but that will bring us back to bring that
Do we have to provide them with a
again? So I don't know.
We do not. I mean, if they had requested one, we certainly would, accommodate for that or kind of figure it out, but they didn't request it, so we wouldn't staff it with somebody, Now, the building could theoretically be, this is Saturday though, right?
On Monday.
On Monday, so I
Monday
mean,
night.
the building would technically be open, so if they came in, they could, well, the doors would be locked, but technically they could come and use the bathroom if it was open. If Bob had the door open. But it's just a field, yeah, so right now they're just using the field.
So, I don't know. Like you said, 2 cents doesn't matter either way, but.
Yeah, my opinion is I think they're at least a group 2. They're a community group. I guess technically they're not for profit, but they do charge a good sum to their players. I'd be okay with letting them come as a group 2.
Would we ask them if they want to be considered as a group 2? Or just change their application to a group 2 application? I guess it's the question, sorry, let me make this 2 options. Do we want to ask them if they want to justify their group 1 status because we're questioning it? Or do we just proceed
Well, I
as
think
if they
they
asked
tried
for
to
group
in
2?
their cover letter.
Yeah.
But we determine,
Yeah.
ultimately,
Right,
we're
which
like,
they
no.
I
You're a
think-
group 2.
Yeah, I think we would just approve them as a group 2, and if they
And then I send them a
decided
letter.
not to come, then that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I always send them a letter that says, you were approved, denied, this is your fee, this is when I send out your invoices, if you could have them in within 10 days. And then I also send them a form that says, these are the days the building is not available due to events we have going on, like field day. Nobody will be using the field that day. So, they get, some stuff when they get approved.
I did notice that their hours they're requesting is 6 to 8 as opposed to 5 to 7 or 7 to 9. Does that mess anything up with you?
It doesn't, because our kids, if they're practicing, it gets our group through where I don't have to worry about when Dan's out on the field, because they're usually gone by 5:30ish or so. And then when we had games here, sometimes if they wanted 6 o'clock, the games possibly might not be done. So now that we're not here with our games, 6 o'clock is usually a good time. And nobody really, like the building, like the gym, it's strictly the 5 to 7, 7 to 9. But the field, we don't have a lot of groups that ask for a field.
Okay.
This is a random question, but what's to stop anybody from coming up here when school's not in session?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Here on the weekend.
Yeah.
Nothing, right?
Andy doesn't stand there and just garden the field?
Yes.
We put Bob out there.
Only the snow.
Right.
But it's
It is owned by the taxpayers,
Right. Well, I'm okay with them obviously using it, I'm more comfortable with a group 2 rate with underpay.
So $10 on there, acceptable per an hour? $10 an evening, $10 an hour?
What was that?
$10 an evening or $10 an hour?
We don't have a category for $10 an evening, do we?
No, but if we wanted to do a contract with them or something.
Like I said, a classroom's $5. I don't know. I just feel like the ball field's not that great. It's outside.
Well, it's outdoor space, it's at a premium.
Yeah. I can go either way, that's just my opinion. And
I don't want to be known as a sports guy, because every time this is sports conflict,
What does a field go for elsewhere? I can't
what
get
does
that
a
answer
field-
from anybody.
yeah.
Nobody can give me a value of their
You can run
field.
down, you can run, usually it's more, you're more on where your insurance covers you. These guys have an open rider, so they can go essentially anywhere. I think they've actually used our field in the past without doing this. They're trying to be compliant and being known, and now they're like, you're gonna charge us, kind of like.
Yeah, we'll just
I
come up.
should have ran on the black market field. So,
Do you know what the town charges? Classy Lassie for the practice fields?
Classy Lassie gets charged $500 for the whole,
Or whatever they
for
want
all,
the
yeah,
spring,
for the whole
the
spring
town.
getting ready and everything like that. So
gotcha.
it's a different
It's different, yeah.
use
They're
and everything
down
like
there
that.
all
But
day.
I do know this team isn't like it's not the Premier League. It's, a group of kids that are just trying to, they're trying to keep a team going. But I agree that, we should keep them compliant with, if we're charging other groups that are very similar to it in the same group, keep them all in the same group. I know they're asking, hey, is there anything that we could do for the charge? So if there is any flexibility there, it is outside. It's not a lot of maintenance or anything like that. We don't have to staff anybody.
I'm fine with the group too. I just think $10 an hour for outside compared to the gym or the cafeteria, or it doesn't, when I just look at this, it doesn't really, what they're getting and what they're paying for. It's only $10.
Yeah, I'd be flexible about $10 for the evening.
With what?
$10 for the evening.
We can compromise and do that.
I don't know if anyone's against that.
And if we have other groups, we would do this, like you said, we don't really have that many that use the
We
field.
may get,
Unless they're road groups that
yeah,
just.
we may get the town fire department that may ask for a Friday night. Occasionally, they'll ask to come up on a Friday night. And they're usually in the free category.
Well, on a positive note too, that your compromise actually then is a nice compromise, but then it also reserves a field for them too. So then if there is a group of rogue baseball players playing,
That's right.
they have a right to
They
say,
have
this is
the-
our field time.
Right.
Right.
Rather than just, well, we got here first and.
Yep.
So, all those in favor of charging them $10 per evening? Okay, that's what we agreed to, right? Yeah. Say aye. All those in favor of $10 per evening?
All right.
Aye. All those against? $10 per evening has it. Okay. Moving on to 1.6, visitors and communication. Communications to the board, we have 2. I don't know if I have them in my packet.
Oh, they came in after the packets, but I have them.
Okay.
I don't remember reading that.
Okay. The first is from Scott Reed. Thank you for taking my call as a follow-up to an email to Dr. Reardon regarding our new unlocked home. Is he soliciting?
It's a solicitation.
I'm sorry, what's it about?
He's soliciting us. He wants us to buy their superintendent evaluation tool called
Oh.
Super Eval.
Super loud. Obviously, he's called Dr. Reardon a few times.
Shocked that message slipped through.
At the low cost of $300.
This particular one's designed to get rid of superintendents very quickly.
I got you. He's crafty.
The other one is from Kim Hertzel-Betz, our own personal staff member. She was writing, she has a youngster who's about to enter kindergarten, and she was looking to see what the tuition, if tuition could be affordable for her to bring her daughter here. I know privately we've talked about it, maybe looking at a policy to update our policy to do that, so.
Actually, we talked about it in a meeting.
Yeah.
And that actually brings me, that was my other question that I had before, that kind of lost my, where are we on that? And is it, because that would be revenue. I mean, right, in two senses. It could be state aidable on the student attending, and then
Whatever the-
tuition from the parent.
Absolutely. So actually, it's a great question. I did email, actually, right before I left for DC, because we're up to the 5,000 series as part of the policy review group. So basically, we're all set to go, as you'll see. They are still completing the 5,000 review. So as of last Tuesday, I'm still waiting for that series. And what I think the committee had agreed to do was, when the 5,000 series does come in from NYSBA, the policy review committee will gather, but we'll start with that policy, because I think that's the tuition non-resident tuition policy is somewhere in the middle of the series. So rather than going from 5,000 to 5.9, we'll just push that to the front of the queue.
Now, have you been able to reach out to other districts that allow their teachers, staff to bring their kids? What do they charge? How do they work it?
The closest I've seen to a charge fee is, again, a lot of our neighboring districts like Troy, they can bring their kids for free of charge. Believe, I know
Brittenkill is free
Manans
of
can,
charge.
what's that?
Brittenkill's
Brittenkill's free of charge. The closest thing I found to some sort of formula that wasn't like the state rate was, again, the one I showed you from Boise, which was basically 1/9, I'm not sure why, 1/9 of the state set tuition. So whatever the states, which wound up being about $1,600 per student. You know, so it was kind of a symbolic payment, but not something that would break the bank. So again, that would be something that I think once that policy came up, the question would be kind of a two-pronged. A, do you want to charge, or just make it kind of a perk? Or, and B, would you want to charge, you know, half the state set rate, you know, a quarter? The one piece I would say is that, at least now NISBA, of course, didn't really have any guidance because they said, you know, for the most part, it depends on district. They were very vague. Is that so that you didn't have to review the policy each year? You probably want to set some sort of formulaic approach rather than the tuition will be $1,000, because that way you're not reviewing it every year, but kind of some sort of, that way if the tuition goes up at the state level, the formula matches. You know, so if you did a quarter, a half, a ninth.
What is our state tuition rate?
We're at, is it 9?
Yeah, it's like 9,800.
9,800 for an outsider?
So we wouldn't have to charge that. We could
You could charge whatever
pick
you wanted,
whatever amount
or
we feel is fair.
Mhm. If you charge at all, exactly. So basically, it's really up to the district discretion. And again, most policies, including, I believe, actually, even the non-resident one we have on file right now, there is always that proviso that, you know, if it were a class, actually some of our class size policy now, if it required, you know, the hiring of additional staff, it does give the district the right to say, you know, we really kind of are at the tipping point for second graders. So at this point, it might seem unfair. We don't feel we can accept your child because it would require the hiring of someone. The cost wouldn't outweigh the, you know, that'd be a tough conversation, but it gives you the leeway to say, you know, we need to save room for our residents, kind of thing. So.
And then once again, we would get state aid for these kids
Mhm.
because it would increase our enrollment.
Right.
So we would get something even if we did free or 1/9 or.
Oh, exactly. Because on Beds Day, you know, the snapshot October 5th of kind of the population, it's your K-8 population. So again, I think we have, what, one student?
Yes.
One student right now who pays the tuition, the Wynantskill tuition, and they count again in that 362, and we're getting the tuition, so that's part of that. So yeah, it's a
Win-win.
win-win.
Okay.
Win.
Thank
People are happy.
I guess tell her to, we're working on it.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm sure she needs to register
Mm.
at the other district that they live in or figure out what they're doing for kindergarten.
What's the timeline on that? I'm curious. Because we could ask the policy committee to prepare something for the next meeting, if we wanted to.
We could, again, I will, if it's okay, what I'd probably do is after just because I just emailed last Tuesday, I'd probably see where they're at in terms of the 5,000 series. After, you know, what are we looking at, another week or two, that kind of thing. But then I would just say we would expedite that, maybe bring it forward, ideally before the May meeting. You know, we maybe start with that one and craft something and then get that through. I would say even if that went into the summer, the nice part is at least there'd be something in place for the summer. So even if, for example, if we look at this one case, if Ms. Herzlbetz registered her child at XYZ school district, she could always say, okay, you know what, I'm changing it. You know, and same with any other staff members that decide, you know what, July or August, now that that's an option, I'm all set with a schedule for this, but I'll enroll, you know. But yeah, I think that can definitely happen with a first and second reading.
When does the policy committee meet again?
We haven't set a date only just because we haven't I don't want to set a date without the policy. So once that set comes in, I immediately send out, you know.
Yeah, as soon as you know you're getting it, let us know and we'll get a date going.
Oh, absolutely. NISBA was very vague, because again, I think in a positive note, we are caught up to where we're actually ahead of where we were supposed to be. So it's not like we're behind where it's like, oh, now here's your 5,000, we've been waiting. They're kind of like, okay, we're working on that series as you're ready, because remember, we spread out over 3 years, so we're kind of in that.
Just tell them to send us that one. Just give us our non-resident one.
Do they do half? Or do they not want to do that?
They're just, you know, they're very proprietary about what they do. They get kind of, you know,
We want to keep the ball moving.
Exactly, you know.
Yeah, it's methodical.
that-
Yeah. Okay.
It's theirs, you know.
Okay.
But we are on the, but like I said, I think, looking at it now, it takes a matter of, by the minute I get that set sent to us, I send the doodle poll out to the committee, the majority comes together, and we're pretty good and we can hammer that out,
Very hardworking committee.
Very hardworking committee, yes. Almost too hardworking, we're too ahead of the game.
Yeah.
This was like you already paid the bills.
Okay. Moving on, 1.6B, opportunity for the public to be heard. Has anybody signed up?
No.
No? Okay. We'll have another opportunity at the end of the meeting. 2.0, reports to the Board of Education. 2.1, Board of Education reports and updates. Does anybody have anything?
I just wanted, Dr. Reardon and I attended the workshop at Questar back on March 18th. That seems like so long ago now. And it was about superintendent and board member roles and responsibilities, and presented by Mr. Michael Ford from the University of Rochester. And I thought it was excellent. He had a lot of takeaways from it. A lot of good information. He has served as a superintendent, he has served on a board, he has served in so many capacities, and he had some great words of advice. He had a list of 5 things you need to know, 5 more things you need to know, and I think I shared the PowerPoint that that Gladys sent out. But it was very informative. It was a nice group of people, and at one point you had a kind of mixed table, so I got to meet like the new superintendent of East Greenbush and some other board members and stuff. So it was nice to kind of do that as well. So it was a good presentation.
Anything else?
Okay, I agree. But what makes him very unique, and actually we did reach out, he's very real. Questar does a lot of work with Mike Ford, and he's very much a very down-to-earth person. It's very much, how do you make theory to practice. We did reach out because actually Wynantskill, speaking of that line item that you actually mentioned during our board workshop, or the budget for the Board of Education, he's a great retreat facilitator, and retreat facilitator meaning like in terms of not just kind of, policy, but he's very good at kind of just, getting the bigger picture, very inspiring. So Wynantskill did reach out to me, Angelina over at Wynantskill, the superintendent, and said, would you ever consider maybe sharing the cost of kind of a double board, like an afternoon retreat, sharing the cost with Wynantskill, and then at least having maybe both boards come together in the summer. And I said that's something we could definitely explore. He's definitely worth it, especially a half day kind of thing. So it might be something to think about as a board.
Yeah, I think it'd be worth it because he added levity to it, but he had so much information and things that he would put out there. You think, oh yeah, that's true. Things you don't think about as you're going through the process, but when the way he would word it and put it back at you, you're like, yeah, that happens, and it shouldn't be, or it should be, or it should be better, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I enjoy that.
I've seen him a few times, and each time is it's the similar theme, but it's very different, which is very impressive too. I agree with Kathy because he has a nice line of the idea is to make yourself and make your employees fall in love with what they do. That's my favorite line he says.
Okay, good. Thank you. Moving on, district / superintendent program report.
Sure. For me, predominant of that is the budget, so I'm happy, of course, to go through the budget presentation. Should you have any questions, or if you'd like me to redo that, I'm happy to do that again as well. I'm sensing it's a yes. Okay, I'm reading everyone right, and I think I am.
All you need is one yes.
There's one yes, someone. Nope, not even Micheline. All right, so basically our big focus has been budget over the past couple weeks. Micheline must. That's good. But otherwise, again, the kind of group, actually, I did send Dr. Yotis home. Dr. Yotis was, as Mr. Lansky can attest, rather ill, so it's better for all of us that she's not here. So in place for basically the past couple weeks since our last board meeting have been marked with basically budget development, watching that very closely. New York State ELA testing is complete. Again, as you know, we were at about 27 opt-outs, which is about 12%, but again, otherwise the exam was pretty reasonable. Teachers have been scoring those exams the past couple of days, but again, the administration, the collation, the scoring, that's been kind of the dominant piece. On top of that, kind of combining both of those as well, the big piece was last week, was actually 2 weeks ago, was PARP. So again, that was kind of a unique program this year, the one book, one school. That was work with Malala. So if you see in our hallways, it really kind of captures that was a K-8 experience of reading. He named me Malala, which culminated with the showing of Malala. on a Tuesday night, and then author Merrill Day was for children on the Wednesday evening. So it was a nice kind of mixture of a very serious kind of adult-based topic on Tuesday with a very student-friendly author, local author, I guess. I think she lives, I'm not sure where she lives, but it's local. Merrill.
Delmar.
Oh, Delmar. Oh, so she's local, had kind of a rhyming-esque theme to her on Wednesday, and then Colleen Parator was with students on Tuesday as part of that PAR program as well. So really it was kind of a culminating K-8 experience, which is great. And pretty much between that and, of course, last week was Washington, D.C. with our 8th graders, and that really marked the end of their 8th, well, not the end of their 8th grade year, but really the you know,
End is near.
The end is near, yes, the true senior trip, if you will. And it was a successful trip. It was great. As I said, it's a wonderful group to travel with, and they really showed their stamina, and it's a pleasure to represent them very well. So we had a very safe, successful trip.
Great. And that also included the 2.3, so we won't go there. 2.4, PTO, I don't know if anybody has a PTO update.
We have a meeting. It's not PTO update now. There's a SEPTA meeting, Special Education PTA, finalization meeting Wednesday. We need 25 members to become an official charter. Anybody can be a member who supports it. It supports ages 3 through 21 in our community. It's open to anybody who would like to join, any school district. Any family member can come and support us, but we do need a minimum of 25 people to become an official charter, and a student is considered an individual. And once you're a member, an official paying member, your voice matters. So your children can attend meetings and they can give their input and they can vote on items. I think that's an important lesson just in general for them to really learn how to speak up what matters to them in their community. And we adults just facilitate. That's our job in the PTA. So that's it.
Just from a PTO standpoint, they did have a meeting last week, and I think they said that they're going to make a motion to make it a PTA. So I don't know if that helps you out with the 25. I don't know.
It's a totally different.
Totally
membership.
separate. Okay.
Yeah.
I just know that they're.
I was at that meeting.
You were there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. They haven't dissolved the PTO, but they've decided to look more into becoming a PTA.
They are. Good.
Yeah. So,
We'll bring them on. Don't worry.
similar type of thing, any 25 charter members, a rules committee. Okay, move on to 3.0, appointments and authorizations. Looks like does anybody have any objection to 3.1 through 3.11 being consent? No? Then we will do that. 3.1, approve CSE, CPSE recommendations as per attached. 3.2, approve Lindy Sanger, kindergarten teacher, for unpaid leave of absence for child rearing starting on or around June 1st, 2017, and returning the start of the 2017-18 school year. 3.3, approval of additional non-public transportation requests, 4 students to Catholic High, 4 students to Academy of Holy Names, 2 students to LaSalle, 1 student to Oakwood, 5 students to St. Jude's, 1 student to Oakland Hill Montessori. 3.4, the sale of a Scantron machine TSM-00 unit valued at around $1,000. 3.5, approve the disposal / recycle of 3 obsolete Canon copy machines. 3.6, $500 check from Utica National for School Safety Excellence Award. 3.7, accept a donation of $447 from Hannaford for the Hannaford Helps Schools program. 3.8, consideration for approval to adopt the presentation to the voters of the district as Proposition 1, the 2017-18 budget as recommended by the administration as follows. Shall the Board of Education of the Wynantskill Union Free School District of Rensselaer County, New York, be authorized to expend the total amount of $9,037,839 during the school year of 2017-18 and to levy the necessary tax therefore. 3.9, consideration for approval to adopt for the presentation to the voters of the district a Proposition Number 2, the 2017-18 bus proposal as recommended by the administration as follows. Shall the Board of Education of the Wynantskill Union Free School District of Rensselaer County, New York be authorized to 1, acquire 2 school buses at the maximum aggregate cost of $175,727, and 2, expend such sum or so much thereof as shall be necessary, and 3, shall be paid from the current appropriation. 3.10, whereas the Board of Education of the Wynantskill Union Free School District of Rensselaer County, New York has called an annual school board election and budget vote of qualified voters of said school district to be held on the 16th day of May 2017, and whereas it is now desired to provide the full appointment of inspectors for said annual school board election and budget vote, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Wynantskill Union Free School District of Wynantskill Union Free School District of Rensselaer County, New York, as follows. Section 1. Mary Ellen Angozano, a duly qualified voter of said school district, is hereby appointed as the permanent chairperson of the annual school board election and budget vote referred to in the preambles hereof. Section 2. The following named qualified voters of said school district are hereby appointed to act as inspectors of election of said annual school board election and budget vote, so that there shall be at least 2 inspectors for each voting machine to be used thereat. Section 3. Mary Rose Ryan is hereby designated as Chief Election Inspector. Section 4. The following named qualified voters of said school district are hereby appointed as Assistant Clerks of said annual school board election and budget vote: Elizabeth Livingston and William Keegan. Section 5. Each inspector of election and assistant clerk appointed for said annual school board election and budget vote, as hereby provided, shall be entitled to compensation at the rate of Chief Election Inspector, $10.50 per hour, Assistant Clerk, $9.75 per hour, for each day actually and necessarily spent on those duties of his office. The clerk of said school district is hereby authorized and directed to give written notice of appointment to the persons herein respectively appointed as permanent chairman, chairperson, inspectors of election, and assistant clerks for said special district meeting. Section 6. This resolution shall take effect immediately. 3.11, approve Stephanie Ryan as door monitor, noon to 6 p.m. at $9.75 per hour for the annual school board election and budget vote on May 16, 2017. Somebody like to make a motion for that?
I'll motion.
And a second? Discussion, questions?
Needs more water.
Just pointing out that the text that we read chairperson into where it said chairman.
Yep.
And maybe we can change the text of that
Okay.
after the vote, if that's okay.
No?
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lanicy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Yes.
Do 3.12, first readings.
you want me to read for a while?
No, I can't. Removal of policies. So these are all the policies we're removing? Yes?
These were policies that basically the committee had looked at as basically either being not required or they were out of date, or basically the policy review is trying to go with necessary policies, not anything that's kind of excessive or just there. So these kind of reflect things that either NISBA recommended, you don't need it, it's just kind of there, or we felt it was covered in some other mandate way. So you'll see some of these kind of reflect more of a mandate would outweigh this policy, so it's just there as kind of an option. So that was what we figured to kind of keep things clean.
Okay, so these are just first readings of removal of policies. Policy 0300, policy 0330, Policy 0340, Policy 1240, Regulation 1240, Policy 1510, Policy 1810, Policy 2121, Policy 2265, Policy 2530, Policy 2550, Policy 3200, Policy 3230, Policy 3250, Policy 3310, Policy 3320, Policy 3330, Policy 4315, Policy 4317, Policy 4321.15, Policy 4420, Policy 4527.
And pause there. Actually, Sharon, I believe 4527 was pulled for.
Nope, there has a different number.
Oh, is that?
There
which
was
one's that?
two, there was actually two policies.
Gotcha.
With the same name, just about, so.
So the one with
Ms.
Jason is still pulled, right?
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yep.
There was
This
one
is-
we'd asked Jason to look at, the policy committee, and so that's still just sitting in the queue for the next meeting, so. It was a 400, sorry, but I know it's, or 4,000, right?
Yes.
That's what this is.
Gotcha.
Yep, it is a different number, though,
Okay.
and with almost the exact same
Yeah.
name.
Okay. We don't need any action, this is just for readings of the removal. Okay. I'd say we do, unless somebody objects, 313 and 314 together. Anyone object? Okay, let's do that. It's the same list. Policy 4513, library material selection. Policy 4526, computer use in instruction, acceptable use. Regulation 4526, computer use in instruction, acceptable use. Policy 4526.1, internet safety. Regulation 4526.1, internet safety. Policy 4531, field trips and excursions. Regulation 4531, field trips and excursions. Policy 4532, school volunteers. Policy 4710, grading system. Policy 4750, promotion and retention of students. Policy 4760, make-up opportunities. Policy 4810, teaching about controversial issues. Policy 4850, animals in school. Can I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? You want to add?
Again, great work, policy committee.
Mrs. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Hirakawa?
Yes.
Mr. Lanisi?
Yes.
Mrs. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Strang?
Yes.
Okay. 4.0, old business, I don't believe we have any. 5.0, new business, I don't think I know of any. Anybody have anything? No? 6.0, informational. 6.1, candidate for petitions for membership on the Board of Education are due by 5 p.m. on April 17th, 2017. The drawing for lot for position on voting machine will take place in superintendent's office at 9 a.m. on April 18th, 2017. The BOCES budget vote and election, April 25th, 2017, at 7 a.m. in the superintendent's office.
Doesn't
Just
start.
going with a quorum, right?
Yes. Budget hearing,
Love it.
May 9th, 2017, at 7 p.m. Meet the candidates that same night, May 9th, 2017, at 7 p.m. Annual school board election and budget vote, May 16th, 2017, from noon to 9 p.m. Our next regular Board of Ed meeting will be May 18th, 2017, at 7 p.m. And opportunity for the public to be heard. Anybody sign up? No?
I didn't sign up, but I can sign it right now.
No? We can just call you.
It's okay. Okay, I have a couple things. Are you guys gonna announce the time of the budget, the voting? Because the last couple of years, some of the seniors in this year, 8 o'clock in the morning for voting. So there will be a good opportunity to reach out the main big flash thing, the town hall
Yes.
sign,
Yep.
to let them know.
Yep. We have reached out to them, and, well, Sharon's reached out to them, and she hasn't had much luck getting
Yeah.
through. I reached out to Lou.
Okay, I'll go there tomorrow, Sharon.
Well, I reached out to Lou directly. He gave me his phone number to call him. I was going to pass it on to Sharon.
Yeah, because I know that the past couple of years that they've been very upset that they have to come back.
Because it's from noon to 9, right?
No tonight.
I think that they think like a regular election
Right.
starts
Yeah.
at 6 a.m.
Well, they're
Right.
very early.
Right.
So,
Go to early and often.
Go.
at least early.
Right. Another thing that one of the stuff that you guys talked about, there was the policy 4317, teaching about drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. What that the teachers are not talking about that anymore, or is that altogether?
You want to take that?
Sure. You mean the specifically policy 4317? What we found was this 4315 and 4317 were almost kind of very archaic, like they were almost written. A lot of these policies almost had like a 1980s, 1990s feel, where it was almost before there was a health curriculum, a New York State guideline. It was like, well, here's a board policy to say you have to teach about these things, you know. Whereas now it's become not only it's a requirement for middle school to graduate with a health credit, but also it's part of our curriculum. So it almost the board, it became kind of like a, I don't want to say redundant, but there's a board policy on curriculum when the New York State curriculum requires us to do it whether there's a policy or not. You know, so basically this isn't saying we're not doing it, it just is saying we didn't really need a policy to kind of state the obvious. You know, so.
Correct. Because one of my suggestions was, I know that we had this program years ago there, and some of these schools just got rid of it. I don't know why. I thought it was a very good
I
thing.
think a lot of it had to do with the police departments, because the
Yes.
police departments came in, and if they had a budget cut,
But
they
it's
cut
not,
that.
it's not done by North Greenbush or East Greenbush. It's by the county, as I told by and they still is there for the school that wants to have that, which I think that it's a very good thing for our kids to have, especially it's a small school. So that's
would you mind looking into that?
I'd be happy to. In fact, actually, if it helps, Chief Gervais, Chief Gervais last summer did reach out to us kind of impromptu and said, hey, would you ever be interested if we could allocate, because the county does fund it, but typically they do like to send a local officer, like in East Greenbush, it was an East Greenbush police officer. I think they like it to be a local officer, so there's kind of a local feel. It's not just somebody like a county sheriff. And I did express that we would be. Of course, I think he was still trying to secure funding and see if that was a possibility. But I can reach out to him again at our next safety meeting and see if that's still a viable option. Yeah.
awesome.
Sure.
Another thing I wanted to say, I had a great time at the kindergarten screening. Of course, all the teachers did a great time. We took kind of Mrs. New's classroom again. And thank you for your patience with me cleaning up and everything. But I thought the kids had a great time. Some of the kids wanted to come back the next day and come here on Saturday. But that was a good, smart group of kids.
Thank you for volunteering.
Sure. Sure. Just state your name for the record.
Mary Alice Hill.
Thank you.
I just want to give a huge shout out to a remarkable person in this room, and I just say remarkable because March 31st and April 1st we had our school musical that Janine Mitchell and I run, and Tom was there. Dr. Reardon, all his energy, they are supporting us, helping out backstage with the kids. Jen, his fiance, was there helping with costumes, and I think it's one of the most wonderful things about our school is like no matter what our positions are, we all hop in for the best situation for the kids. It was a successful show, but Tom, I wanted to thank you, Dr. Reardon.
It
thank
was
you
a pleasure,
for your help.
honestly, and really
It was wonderful.
from Jen's perspective, thank you for having us. Really, it was, for those of you that had a chance to see the show, it was phenomenal. And again, to do this show, that was an amazing movement on Ms. Newell's part, Ms. Mitchell's part, to move the show from June, where it kind of was, part of, to spring. It's 10 times more work to do it, to set up, but it was an amazing move, and that was all you guys, so thank you.
It also backed up to Odyssey of the Mind, right? I mean, you guys had to, characters had to change their mindset from, the weekend to the next,
Yeah,
It was busy because it was also
the real world
NYSSMA.
wasn't.
And then we had NYSSMA.
And it was NYSSMA, so you were nonstop.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
It was great, and Dr. Duenas was also there on Friday night, but it was like, thank you.
It was a ton of fun, truly.
Now, was that recorded at all?
I recorded it, but I haven't made any DVDs yet. But yes, I
I'd love to see it. I
recorded
wasn't able to make it, unfortunately.
It was
I'll get there.
I have one more thing that I just remembered. In respect of Kim's letter about tuition for the kids. As a mother, I think that will be beneficial for our kids and her as a parent, having her kid or any of the teachers' kids here as they wish. Just think about, and I've been here that for as long as my kids been here. All the school concerts and all the school stuff that they have to miss because they are here with our kids. And they don't have their kids in here. Also, in effect, is if we have a school day, and if the other school have a snow day, they have to find childcare for that kid because they do have school or vice versa. So it's just have that in mind when you guys make that decision. I know that not all the teachers want the kids to be here, but to allow the ones that do wish, I think that it's beneficial for our kids and them as a parent and teacher, knowing that the kids are here with them.
And just to piggyback on that too, then the teachers also would be part of our PTA or PTO and more vested in helping,
Absolutely.
on events.
It's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win situation.
Exactly.
So,
8 wins.
what more?
Did we have a need for executive session?
Yes, if we could, I know it was announced, but could I just request a brief executive session for item,
Is that our normal one? Not 6?
not 6.
Oh my goodness. Contracts?
Contracts.
Yes.
Where is it?
Where is it?
So Tom and I met with the architects earlier, and we just wanted to update the board
Okay.
on where.
I think last time we were going to put it under 8. Because it was on
Yeah.
the real property.
It would affect the value. Yes,
Right, Property. Okay.
8, please.
So we need a motion? And a second?
I'll second.
Okay. 8:15, you need the time? You got it?